All right,
Okay.
I just started it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tawny, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about writing your supplemental essays. So, just a little bit more about me. I'm Tawny Hawthorne once again. I'm going to be a first-year student at Syracuse University in the fall. I just, as a first-year student, that means I just went through the application process, so all of this is still very fresh in my mind, and I'm really excited to be here with you all today. So here's a little application timeline. So for anyone who's a junior, going to be a junior in the fall, this fall, your focus is your SATs and your ACTs. I think that taking them each up to 3 times or a combination of both. So if you take the SAT twice and ACT once, a combination of both, but 3 times is a really good number, just because as you take it too many times, that energy that you're using could be put to something else. And then see if your school has fee waivers. That's really important that you see if they do that in your junior year, so that you can start preparing if you're going to be able to get a fee waiver, or so you can start saving money for those college applications. In the spring, you want to think about the major that will fit your career path. Now, it is okay to be undecided, and there are other factors when looking at schools that you can think about when, thinking about a school to go to besides just your major. But that is something that you do want to see. If you are going to a school undecided, I would see how easy it is to change majors, what types of exploration they have so that you can pick your major, and really just how the type of counseling and help that they offer so that you can pick a major eventually. Over the summer, you want to research the schools that have exactly what you're looking for in major, size, location, diversity, anything else. Now, for seniors, that's where you are now. The Common App opens in August, so you still have a few weeks to research the schools that you exactly want. Now, by November, you kind of want to know, because that's the early action deadline. And then December, that's when most of the first round decision applications come out for early decision. And then January is regular decision and early decision 2 deadlines. In March, all your application decisions should be coming out. And then May is National Decision Day. That's the day we've all been waiting for. It is one of the best days ever. All the stress that you had will be gone. Trust me, it's a great day. Just a second. Okay, so now we're going to go into the types of supplemental essays. So there are 5 types: the Why Our School, the activities, the community contributions, the oddballs, and short answers. The Why Our School is the most common supplemental essays, and many schools use this question to see what research you've done on their institution. Now, I have a few tips for it. I would read the question carefully and do your research. In this question, they're really going to see, did you go to their website? Did you look up their rank, what they're most famous for, the teachers that they have? Why do you want to go to their school besides just their name? And demonstrate how you're fit in. If you know they're a research school, then say you want to do research at their school with XYZ professor. That's really important. So here's some examples. So I have Boston University and Northwestern. Now, these are 2 schools that I applied to. All my examples of these schools that I did apply to, and the questions that were on the most recent application. So the Boston University was, what about being a Boston University? What about being a student at Boston University most excites you? And at Northwestern, it's a little bit of a longer question. It says, other parts of your application, give us a sense of how you might contribute to Northwestern. We also want to consider how Northwestern will contribute to your interests and goals. Help us understand what aspects of Northwestern appeal most to you and how you'll make use of specific resources and opportunities here. That question is specifically asking about their research. Northwestern is a research school, so that is a question where they want to know that you will be contributing to research at Northwestern. Then we have the activities. Now, the activities question is a great way to delve deep into your favorite activity that you've done in high school and go beyond 150 words that the Common App limits you to. For this, I would pick an activity which you held a leadership position. This is really, really important. It shows that not only were you in an activity, but you were committed to it. I would stay away from sports. I know some people, if sports is really, really your thing, go ahead and write about it. Varsity sports, maybe you played club sports your entire life, but sports have a tendency to be very repetitive and something that the People who are reading your application don't want to hear a million times. And show, don't tell. Write like you're telling them a story. Write so that they're engaged. Like this is one of the best stories that they're ever going to read. That'll really help them have a connection with you. So this is from Penn State and University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Again, Penn State has a very straight to the point example where University of Illinois wants to know why you chose your major and what interests inside or outside the classroom helped you pick your major. Now, again, if you're going in undecided, you can really talk about how you've tried so many things and you're still not sure. And that's a good thing because it shows them that you're in exploration, that you are interested in many different things and you're ready to explore different career paths. Then you have the community contributions. The community essay is another standard supplemental essay that wants information about your social habits and favorite causes. So prompts that ask a community you belong to are very open to interpretation. For this, be authentic, write with passion. Don't, just write about something that you think that they want to hear, that you did all of these service hours, that you went to all these different soup kitchens. They want to hear something you're really, really passionate about, and the words that you use will show your passion. They will be able to tell. Now, multiple institutions use this question. It'll be in some form of tell us about a place or community you call home. How has it shaped your perspective? They really want to see the puzzle pieces of your world. What has shaped you as a person? Now we have the oddballs. The University of Chicago is the most popular for using these oddball questions. They like to throw in a question that you have to think about a lot before writing. And these are designed to pick your brain to see if you'll fit into their institution. University of Chicago is famous for being an institution of critical thinking, and they really want to see what kind of critical thinker you are. So my tips would be research the prompt. There are a lot of people who publish their essays after they are successful so that people can read them. Now, there is a fine line between plagiarism and inspiration. Don't rewrite someone's essay, but say, okay, they went about it in this way to answer it. Maybe I can go about it in a similar way, or they, look at their theme, how they wrote the words that they picked. That's all inspirational, not plagiarism. And I would start as early as you can. Brainstorm time is the most valuable thing you have with oddball questions. It's very, very important. Now, I have the University of Chicago question. I also have a Dartmouth question. So this Dartmouth question is asking about something beautiful that you made or hope to make. Myself personally, I wrote about my own life. I said that because I am the leader of my own life, I hope to make the most beautiful one that I can for myself. So the University of Chicago question is really about comparing and contrasting two things. I think that both of these questions can be interpreted a million different ways, and it's really up to the writer to think about how they want to write it and the words that they want to use and the story they want to tell. Then we have short answers. So this is your opportunity to show your personality. When colleges read this question, they want to get to know the real you, not just the numbers on the paper, not just your SAT score, your GPA. They want to know who you, the applicant, are. Now, the tips I have are to overwrite. I know that this sounds a little bit tricky, but if you overwrite, then you can delete words and meet the small limit that you have. But if you're just writing to the limit, that word count is going to feel enormous. Don't worry about the word count. Overwrite and then delete things that you think don't contribute to the main point of your story. Don't tell them what you think they want to read about. I think that this is a common theme between all of these types of short answer questions, but this is really important. When you're being authentic, you have to be your true self. This is your chance to show that you are more than just information on paper. And I would also be sure to represent a range of your personality traits. You're more than just, this person who goes to school and comes home every day. You're a person who you're involved in National Honor Society, or you're on the math team, or you're part of history or science fair. Write about those things so they really know who you are. So, for example, I have Princeton and Penn State. Princeton goes about it, and you write a letter to your future roommate. You can tell them anything you want to know about you. At Penn State, they said, describe a typical day in your life in 2050. Consider your professional life will look like, what technology you might use, and how might you interact with your personal framework, family, friends, and the world at large. Now, myself personally, when I wrote to Princeton, I wrote about a lot of different things. I wrote about, it wouldn't be my first time sharing a room with someone. I shared a room with my sister when we were little. I wrote about the music that I like so we can play music in our room just so that they could see that I am a real person. And I think that that's important. You want to show who you are because each and every person is very unique. So then a few of my other college tips, I have six. So apply to community-based organizations. Some of the community-based organizations have automatic fee waivers for college applications and scholarships available for seniors. Myself personally, I'm involved in the Boys and Girls Club of Chicago, as well as Chicago Scholars. These are two organizations that helped me a lot this past year. Use the Common App and the Coalition app. So the Common App only gives you 20 schools. I personally apply to a lot of schools, and using the Common App and the Coalition app really, really helped me. Know the difference between early action, early decision 1 and 2, regular decision, and rolling admissions. This is really important for when you'll know your decision, and if you are binded to that school or not, which is really important. Apply to QuestBridge. I applied to QuestBridge for um, the national match, and it was something that I was really happy that I did. It is something that you have to qualify for based on your parents' income, but I would definitely check it out. And then use your application essays as your scholarship essays. This is really important because just as much as applying to college is going to be tricky, applying for scholarships is very tedious. You have to write so many essays. But if you use parts of your application essays, then those scholarship essays won't be as hard. And lastly, stay organized. Google Drive is your best friend. Google Drive, Google Calendar, all types of all the G Suite is just going to be so helpful. Me personally, I kept all of my essays in one long running document, and it just helped me especially if I wanted to pick different parts of essays to answer different questions. So my Boston University answer and my Northwestern answer are very similar because I use the exact same essay and switch parts around to fit each institution. So this is my contact information. If anyone wants to contact me, I have my email, my phone number, my LinkedIn, and my Instagram if you want to go over essays, if you have any more questions after this. But if anyone has any questions right now, we can do a Q&A session and I can answer those.
Yes, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Tawny, would you mind just continuing to share your screen so that on the recording it looks pretty consistent? But if you can't see the chat, I can totally just read off the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can't see the chat right now, but
okay, I'll read them. So the first question is, how do you brainstorm for the more critical thinking based supplements like the U Chicago essay?
So I think a good way to brainstorm is to start with reading some of the other published essays like I talked about. Me personally, when I did my University of Chicago essay, I read a few essays and then I said, okay, Tawny, what is applicable to your life? And when you are comparing and contrasting two things, it can be a little tricky. I personally did science and art. I said I've taken so many science classes, and I feel like science is something that just I know a lot about, but I really like to show my creative side. And there's nothing that says being a scientist and being an artist can't go hand in hand. And that's the kind of thing that after you do read a few other people's essays, that you'll be able to kind of develop yourself.
Thank you. And next question is tips for time management when we're applying to a bunch of schools.
So when applying to a bunch of schools, I would get all of your deadline. I would write all your deadlines down and then use Google Calendar or any other system that you have so that you can look at your calendar and say, okay, I have X amount of weeks until this application is due, or whenever you want to apply. So me personally, when I did early action, I prioritized those applications first because those deadlines were sooner, and I knew in my Google Calendar they were on November 1st. So I would really use a calendar, a notebook, any way that you are organized. Another tip for time management that I have is to, again, keep everything together, because you're going to waste a lot of time if you're scrambling looking for your Georgetown essay and your University of Chicago essay and your Penn State essay. It just makes sense to have all of the essays in one document, and then you can use the header application on Google Docs, and it'll show you on the side. You can just click it and be like, okay, I want to work for my University of Chicago. Click that, it'll scroll all the way down for you, and you can type. So make things as simple for yourself as possible.
Awesome. And next question is, do you recommend writing essays to practice?
No, actually I don't. I think that it's better to use your time and energy, really, like I said, researching schools and doing some more just reflection about yourself. I think that would be better than to practice, because you're going to have so many rough drafts of your essays, and those will be like your practice. And it just helps to be as authentic as possible and not very rehearsed when you are applying to college, because your essays are your chance to step away from the numbers. The numbers get your foot in the door for them to read your essays, and your essays really put you above the rest of the applications so you can get a decision letter.
And next question, do you recommend having most of the supplemental essays done before school starts, or did you make like a timeline for yourself to get things done?
I think that it can help to have most of them done before school, because school and applying to college can be very, very stressful. But I think that necessarily having them done is a little unrealistic. I think having a rough draft that a teacher or an adult that you trust is helpful, because then when it is time, you can be one of the first people to ask them, and you know that they'll be able to give you good feedback because they won't be tired of reading, 40 different essays. So I think that definitely getting a head start on it before school starts, I would definitely recommend, especially the personal statement. I know that that's not this particular seminar, but getting your personal statement done and out of the way before school starts, I would definitely do that, because it is something that is stressful and it takes a lot of time.
Awesome. That's all the questions that I have in the chat, but like I have 2 more questions that are just like from me. First of all, what are your thoughts on reusing supplemental essays? So obviously like don't reuse Y school essays, but in terms of other supplements, what are your thoughts on reusing? And my second question is, what are your thoughts on like overlapping kind of like content, in terms of like, if you talked about something in your Common App, should you like never talk about it in your supplements again?
Okay, so my thoughts on like reusing supplemental essays is 110% do it, especially if it contribute, especially if the question is very similar. I don't see why you can't do it. The schools aren't going to like call each other and be like, Tawny wrote this in her Northwestern essay, and then Penn State is not going to be like, oh, well, she submitted the exact same essay. It's not plagiarism. It's totally fine, and it's your work, so you can definitely do it. My thought on, if you mention something in your Common App, to mention it again, yes, do it. The Common App only gives you about 150 words to talk about activities, and your personal statement. If you surround your personal statement about one theme, don't write about it again in a short answer. But if it's just like your activities, or you briefly mention it in another section, definitely mention it again, because now it's your time to really be like, I mentioned it, and this is all the details. Here's your bread and butter of that activity. So most definitely do it. I think both of those ideas are things that should definitely do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this super informative seminar, and also thank you to all of our participants for attending. And I'll stop the recording now.